Thank you. I'll start again. I'd like to call to order the January 11th, 2022 Newtown Borough Council meeting. Will you please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Does anyone have any amendments to the agenda? Okay. Anyone in the public who would like to be heard? So please state your name and address for the secretary.
First of all, I'd like to thank the council members, the mayor, other borough officials who are here for the time this evening. My name is Don Hayden. I live at 189 North Chancellor Street, so just up or down the block, depending on how you want to think about it. And my wife and I moved to Newtown Borough about 4 years ago, and I guess a free promotional spot. We love it here. It's a terrific place to live. One of the things that I enjoy most about Newtown Borough is walking. The historic sites and buildings, the beautiful architecture, the tree-lined streets, the shops and restaurants, even the improved sidewalk accessibility. You and your predecessors over the years should feel very proud about what's been developed and built in that regard. But underneath all of that, there is a serious, urgent issue, and that's the issue of pedestrian safety. Put simply, there are too many crosswalks, uncontrolled crosswalks in the borough and along nearby Sycamore Street at the western edge that are simply not sufficiently safe. They're dangerous. And as a point in fact, over the last 3.5 months, there have been news reports of 6 vehicle-involved pedestrian accidents, either in the borough or along nearby Sycamore Street. 6 accidents in 3.5 months. 2 of those pedestrians were fortunate enough to escape with minor injuries, but 2 of them had serious and/or critical injuries, and 2 pedestrians lost their lives in 3.5 months. So pedestrian safety is an urgent issue. The well-being of pedestrians and their livelihood and lives are at stake. And in the spirit of what's at the top of the agenda for tonight, thinking and working together, we would like to ask the borough and other responsible members of the Borough Council and other responsible members to take this issue up with great urgency. And with some thoughts as to how that might happen, I'd like to turn to my fellow borough resident, Courtney Lang. Courtney?
Hey guys, Courtney Lang, 102 Jefferson Street, and I'm glad to see some new faces up here.
Thank you.
I first want to pass out just a quick paper for everybody to kind of reference what Dawn was talking about. So I'll pass these over to Judy. So Judy. In relation to these pedestrian incidents that have occurred over the last 3 months, there's been a petition to go around both the borough and the township is putting this on their agenda for tomorrow night's township meeting. What we would like to urge Newtown Borough to also consider is making safety a priority in our community as well. To take that one step further, there are other measures that we can be looking at to address basically our Newtown business district. Since this covers an equal portion, almost equal portion for both the borough and the township, a joint committee is suggested that would encompass both borough residents, township residents, business owners, and our police force to really take this matter into consideration. In order to make it work, we need both municipalities to work together and to have common understanding and common enforcement to really make an impact on it happening. We need to work together. With that too, to really go to Dawn's point of making this urgent, every month we do have an extra council meeting on the schedule, the fourth Thursday of the month. And I think it would be prudent on our part to also have a meeting specifically on pedestrian safety and what we can be doing on our half of the borough, and to figure out what our plan is to address these issues as well. So I'd like you to take that into consideration. That meeting would be January 27th. And I would urge you to make that point to be safety as the primary discussion point for that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you both. January 27th is actually our budget review because we reopened the budget. But I think every one of us agrees absolutely with the point you're making. And one of the things I was going to speak of later is the liaisons for various committees. We have split the traffic committee into two pieces, with Bob focusing on parking and signs, and Amy has taken over the piece of pedestrian safety and traffic calming. I know that she's already contacted John Mack and is working with the township. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I know she's recruiting members. So, Amy, would you like to speak to that?
Yes. I would love to be able to get in touch with you tomorrow if that's possible, and we can start talking. I think we'll probably talk about it later in this meeting, so I don't even have all the information yet, but I very much have the passion behind it and that you both have. So I'm really looking forward to getting started with you.
Last year when I was responsible for snow relocation and residents called, at the end of our conversation, I asked them a simple question. Would you like to be on our traffic committee? And I urge you to contact us, fill out an application, and get on our traffic committee so that you can be part of the formal structure to the extent we create a formal structure. Because we have multiple tasks that we attempt to perform every month, but we need the residents to be our eyes and ears in daily contact of what's out there. We have been working already talking about the particular issues. In fact, we had multiple conversations about them today. So, and I've already talked previously to Dennis Fisher and to John about what should be the structure of us talking to them and then talking to us, whether it should be formal, informal, because if you create too much of a structure, you get hamstrung by notice of meetings, minutes, sunshine rules. So how we set it up will be very important, but most importantly, we need citizens' participation. So I encourage both of you to join us because we need you. Thank you.
Would love to do that and appreciate the offer.
That's fabulous. Thank you. Anyone else in the public who would like to speak?
Charles Schwartz, 323 Washington Avenue. Newtown Business Association has started a small group of businesses and business owners on State Street, and they would like to resurrect music in the street for this coming summer. The one thing they would like to do, rather than doing it on State Street like they've done in the past, they'd like to see if it would be possible to do it in the Isaac Newton parking lot in the area behind a zebra-striped whale and Cafe Con Leche as a starting point for that, and that could be roped off if possible to get that upper end of that parking lot closed off for music in the street so that it would not impede traffic and have the issues that we had last year. So I'm bringing it forth now because it's going to be a formal presentation probably in the March meeting when we get things together, but I wanted to put it out there now so we could do that. And secondly, I'd like to welcome all the new councilors and new mayor because I didn't get to do that last time. Good luck with everything that you're doing, and I hope you use this as a learning experience of how municipal government works and how you work together with citizens and yourselves in order to make things happen. So again, thank you all. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor Emeritus, please alert this new business group that we're moving the working session to 5:30. So after business is closed, we can now schedule meetings with the business community on a broad range of topics. And we really look forward to working with you.
Thank you. John? Mr. Mayor, do you have a report?
I do not have anything to report this evening. Thank you.
Chief Sabbath?
Evening, council, mayor, citizens. Just to give a report on our activities for December of 2021, department handled 189 calls for service. We did have an emphasis on traffic enforcement. We had 71 motor vehicle stops. Majority of violations that were written were for speeding or for red light violations. We did have 3 motor vehicle accidents, one at Washington and Chancellor, one with a vehicle exiting the parking lot on CVS, and the other on the unit block of South State Street, none of which involved major injury. We had 16 false alarms. Just so the citizens are aware, we went back to in 2021 charging for false alarms. We put a hold on that due to COVID for 2020. So we have been issuing violation notices to those businesses. We investigated 3 domestic disturbances, none of which involved injury or arrest. Want to give a shout out to the Newtown Rotary Club. They presented the borough with a $2,800 check to purchase a ballistic bulletproof vest for one of our officers. Department, during the month of December, also participated in the Newtown tree lighting, wreath laying for Officer Brian Gregg at the Newtown Cemetery, the holiday parade, and also we had extra patrols for Newtown Midnight Madness. So any questions from anyone?
I have one. I've had a couple of citizens ask me about catalytic converters. Was that?
Yes, catalytic converters. It's countywide. It's actually all over. Individuals come and they'll take the catalytic converters from the vehicles. There's a metallic substance in that can have great resale value. Every time that a group gets arrested, there's another group that pops up. Group was just arrested in Hilltown. We were hoping to get them associated with ours, but we did have a couple in the commercial sections where I guess it was 2 weekends ago, some catalytic converters were taken. So it is something that is countywide, and we have video of the suspects in ours, but it's really grainy. It's not very useful.
Thank you.
Chief, I have one question for you. Do you have any comment about the impact of the suspension of the enforcement of the parking violations on how traffic flowed and safety during the month of December?
Nothing readily noticeable about the, letting go, because we still were enforcing violations other than the overtime parking, parking too close to the sidewalk or too close to stop sign, things like that. So we still were doing parking enforcement for those violations, just not for the overdue time or, the extended time parking.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Forsyth?
Have to give me a minute so my glasses clear up so I can see. For the month of December, we had 127 calls for service. We completed 35 annual fire safety inspections in the township and 22 in the borough. We responded to 107 calls in the township, 14 in Newtown Borough. We had 1 cover to Pendle Borough and 5 in Northampton Township. The emergency services and the fire association responded to 79 EMS calls, 8 motor vehicle accidents, 1 wires in a dwelling call, 20 alarm systems, 6 dwelling fires. We assisted the squad 3 times, 1 appliance fire, 3 fumes in calls. These are different calls that people call us for fumes in their dwelling. 1 auto extrication, 2 truck fires, 2 people stuck in elevators, and 1 cover in Pendle. We also hosted the annual tree lighting ceremony at the firehouse. It's a great event for the Fire Association to do. We look forward to doing it every year. And that's my report for the month of December. And welcome everybody, all the new folks on Borough Council. And my name is Glenn Forsythe. If you don't know me, I'm at the township every day. My phone number is listed. If you have any questions, by all means, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Any questions? Chief Sabbath, you have any questions?
Thank you.
We worked that out before we come. Thank you.
Thank you. Emily, can you do the certificates of appropriateness, please?
I would like to make a motion to follow the recommendation of the Historic Architectural Review Board and direct the President of Council to sign the following certificates of appropriateness, thereby approving the historical appropriateness of the applications with final approval by the Code Enforcement Officer. COA 2021-048, a residence at 207 Penn Street. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of an addition. HARB recommended approval of the application as presented, noting the option for the window location in the elevation presented with the larger window on the right side of the proposed south front elevation. COA 2021-052, a residence at 141 Liberty Street. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness, for the construction of a roof over the side entrance to the house. HARB recommended approval of the application as presented. COA 2021-051, 25 North State Street, the Lubavitch Center of Bucks County. The applicant is seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the replacement of windows. HARB recommended approval of the application for the replacement of 5 windows noted on page 7, replaced for basement study, with Anderson Renewal's single sash sliding units with no grills. The proposed replacement of the additional 2 windows in the original building are not being approved at this time.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. Any questions or discussion at council? You can ask that next. Are any of the applicants here? I don't believe so. Or any comments from the audience? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. The only item on the agenda under my report is in reference to an approval that was obtained verbally from the state for a crosswalk by the new Court and State Development to, over by the liquor store. That's the way we all think of it, right? But a lot of people are excited about that, and I think it's a positive thing. But there's some uncertainty at this point as to whether or not the developer is willing to do that at this point, because they had been turned down by PennDOT. And so it could potentially be something that the borough needs to fund if we move ahead with it, and it's about $50,000. So to be continued, but I've heard lots of people talking about it, so I just wanted to mention it. I also wanted to make sure that everyone knows who the liaisons are to our various committees. It is posted on the website, but Emily is the liaison to HARB, the Joint Historic Commission, and the Rec Board. Amy is liaison to the Environmental Advisory Council the HRC, and traffic. And as I mentioned, we split traffic into 2 distinct committees, with Amy focusing on safety and traffic calming. Bob is on the Budget Committee, liaison to the Shade Tree Commission, and has parking and signs. Tara is the Budget Committee, Streets and Property. Mary Ellen drew the short stick. She's Planet Commission, Zoning, and Personnel. And I will also remain on Streets, and I'm on Budget. So this will be posted so that people know who they need to contact if they have questions or need assistance. I also wanted to mention that we're looking at reorganizing our meetings in terms of what gets discussed at the work session, how the work session is conducted as opposed to this session, and also the order of agenda items. I just wanted to give you a heads up because when you see the agenda for the next work session, which I think is February 2nd, you'll see some changes, so don't be surprised. Oh, we've talked a couple of times about our budget and having the entire budget with the details of the historical expenses on our website. It is on the website now, so I just wanted to make sure everyone knows that. If they want to look at it, they can do that. And I think that's all. Michelle, can you give us the engineer's report?
Let's see. How to work this. Oh, great. Hi. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the roadway inventory analysis, and this has been a long time in coming, as at least half of you up there know that the council authorized our office to complete this roadway inventory analysis about a year ago. All of our work has been done, all of our investigative work, and now we're here to present it to council. The purpose of this inventory analysis, as I see it, is to give the borough a tool, a working tool, so that when it comes down to budget season near the end of the year, we have one document to help the road committee and all of council determine what roads have to be done in the next year's program. We're not guessing or having input from a various people as to what roads should be done. And this is a comprehensive analysis. And by that, I mean, every year we talk about maybe 5 or 10 roads, narrow it down to maybe 4 roads. This was a comprehensive look at all of the Newtown Borough owned roads, which is something that I didn't have before. I know your previous engineer had done a roadway inventory, but that now has run its course. So it was time to do this again. And last year's Borough Council had the forethought in order to authorize us to do it. So I'm first going to start with just a little bit of background, and I know my time is limited, so I'm going to try to work through this. A road program. What is a road program? The borough gets an allocation from the legislature from a portion of the gasoline tax, which is known as the liquid fuels monies, in order to do maintenance of their roads. The borough, just about every year, if not every year, puts out a roadway program, which is a contract that we bid out publicly for contractors to do the maintenance of our roads. And there are 8.54 miles of roads within the borough. And just a couple minutes ago, I talked about what priorities there were, what roads should be done. This roadway inventory will give us those priorities. There's also 1.55 miles of state-owned roads. And this is a liquid fuels map. I'm going to point this way too. The liquid fuels map is a map done by PennDOT that shows you all of the roads within your borough where you get that allocation of funds from. On that map, through each road is broken down into blocks. So on Jefferson Street here, you have North State Street goes to Jefferson Court. And in that, you'll see a value which is, I believe, 0.07 miles. So each block will give you the length of street. And then, depending upon that mileage and then the population of the borough is how those funds are determined to be sent to the borough. Now, each of those roads have to meet certain criteria. That criteria is that a road has to be at least 250 feet long. It has to be a minimum of 16 feet wide. In the boroughs, you have to have a right-of-way of 16 feet. And if there is a dead end, like on Jefferson Court that I just pointed to, you have to have a cul-de-sac, a round bulb that is at least 40 feet in width. So what are your roads have to be comprised of? This is from your ordinances, and it says what every new road has to be built to, what standard. At the bottom, you'll see 6 inches of 2A stone, which has some fines in it. The fines kind of, when it's compacted, kind of lock everything in to give it its strength. Then you have above that 5 inches of a base course, and then above that 1.5 inches of wearing course. And that is what a road is comprised of. This is a picture of that in a different form. You'll have your stone, your base course, and then your wearing course. And then this is a picture of an actual road. Again, your stone, your base course, and your wearing course. I put this in here so you can kind of get the idea of the different depths of the different materials that make up a road. So for liquid fuels funding, I talked about the criteria of what makes a road get onto your liquid fuels list. When you get money and you put out a road program, there's only a certain types of work that can be done in that contract. These are examples of some of that work. The first one on the left is a base repair, where you cut out a section of the road and you replace that section that is deficient, that is deteriorating. You might have heard us talk about milling. This is a milling operation where this machine pulverizes, breaks up the top layer of the pavement surface, and then this conveyor belt takes it up and puts it in a truck, and this area will be later paved, which is what this machine is here. This is an actual borough road. You see South Congress Street. This is something called crack sealing. If you have cracks in your road, it's a place that would allow water runoff to enter it to further, which may deteriorate the road because of the freeze-thaw cycle. When water freezes, gets down into the road, it freezes, it enlarges, it breaks up that material. When it thaws, it loosens it, and it could wash it away. You don't want water to get down into your road surface. That's why you have storm perforated pipes sometimes underneath the road surface to get the water away from your road materials. So this process, crack sealing, is where you put a bituminous mixture onto the cracks and fills it in so that it doesn't allow the water to get into it. This is your accessible ramps. This is, again, a type of maintenance that could be funded under liquid fuels. And this is a picture of striping and some signage, which is a type of maintenance that could be funded through liquid fuels, but striping only if it exists now. It's not for any new striping. So that's maintenance work that is eligible. This is not eligible. And again, this is right in our own borough. Curb is not eligible for liquid fuel funding. We have 3 different types of curb in Newtown Borough: concrete, stone, and brick curb. This is concrete curb that we replaced. This is stone curb that we had replaced. And this is a concrete apron and sidewalk that was replaced. Again, curb, concrete apron, sidewalk are all types of work that will not be funded by liquid fuels. If it's not funded by liquid fuels, what is it funded by? It's funded by your general fund. So in our roadway inventory and our inspections, we went down every single road. We had an inspection crew go down and note any deteriorating areas on each road. And that is what helped us to prioritize which roads should be done first. Types of some deterioration: alligator cracking, longitudinal cracking, drainage issues, potholes. And we noted each one as we went down each block within the borough. An example of alligator cracking. Alligator cracking is cracking within a road, but you see it's going in two directions or more than one direction. This is an area that needs to be repaired rather soon. You have some unraveling in this area. This is a picture along Frost Lane. This has some unraveling in this area, and this is some rutting, probably. And then this is a drainage concern, as you probably all can see. As we went down each road, we also looked at each inlet. This is an inlet or a catch basin. These are two C-tops, we call them. They're C-tops because they have the curb attached to them. If they were flat to the road, they would be called M-top inlets. These are, like I said, inlet tops that need to be replaced. The borough anybody have a guess how many inlets are within the borough? Take a guess, somebody shout it out. 400. We have a lot less. We have about 100 and a little more than 150 inlets within the borough. Our inspection crew went down and opened the grate of almost every single inlet in the borough. We looked for deterioration inside the inlet basin, the box itself, and then we did what we call lamping, which is taking a flashlight and shining it down into the storm sewer to see if we could see any defects. If it was a long run and we couldn't get to the next inlet, then we walked down along that run to see if there was any settlement along that storm sewer run to see if there was a possible defect in the storm sewer. I'm happy to say, although there is C-tops that are to be replaced, we did not notice any storm sewer that will have to be replaced as part of the road program. Although storm sewer would be an eligible repair that could be funded by liquid fuels. We also looked at all of the ADA accessible ramps also within the borough. And we put that into our analysis to determine which roads should be a level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 road. We only have these 5 levels. Level 1 is a heavily deteriorated road and in need of immediate repaving. Level 2, a little bit less so. Going down the list into level 5, right now it would not need any repair, but we're asking to reevaluate it every 5 years because things can change, as everyone knows. So our level 1 priorities, this was submitted to the road committee last year and the budget committee, and tentatively it is scheduled to be our road program for this year. So you have Lafayette Street from South Norwood to South Elm, South Congress Street from East Penn to Center Avenue, North Congress Street from Federal Lane to Frost Lane. And as you may know, this is a road that is owned jointly by the township and the borough, or I should say, the west side is owned by the borough, the east side is owned by the township. We contacted the township to see if this was going to be on their road program this year, and it is. So we have, the borough and the township had a similar agreement last year. We're going to use the same intermunicipal agreement. They are going to bid our items of work in their road program because they have a much larger road program, more roads. They get better unit costs, so it'll be cheaper for the borough. And they have agreed to do that for North Congress Street. And the last road is Frost Lane, from Edgeboro to North Congress Street. These are a couple pictures of those roads. This is Lafayette Street. You see alligator cracking, again, raveling, and Frost Lane, same type of thing. I showed you this picture previously. The cost, the road inventory analysis also has the costs associated with levels 1, 2, and 3. We didn't go further than that because I'll show you a list of all the roads. If level 1, 2, and 3 does not mean we're going to do level 1 this year, level 2 next year, level 3 the third year. It just means this is the priority. Council has decided, at least tentatively, to do all of the level 1 roads this year, in year 2022. And the cost associated with that is $134,000. It also includes costs for concrete work. You'll see up in Lafayette Street, there's $11,800 for concrete work. That includes the curb that I told you was not liquid fuel eligible. It could mean depressed curb also, or concrete aprons. That in prior years, concrete curb and concrete aprons were the responsibility of the homeowners. But I included it all here just to give you an idea of what this year's road program would cost. Level 2. Level 2 has, I believe that is 14 different road segments on them. Examples of pictures, and the road inventory analysis will also include pictures. You have some alligator cracking in this area, although it doesn't meet the extents to be a level 1 priority because it's mostly confined to this small area. This area on East Penn Street, that's a drainage concern. That has me a little concerned, but it's just in this area. It's not more widespread. And the same thing here on Sterling Street. Again, a cost for level 2 priorities for those 14 segments, $560,000. We did similarly level 3 roads. That is 19 different sections, block sections. Total cost for level 3, $809,000. So if anybody knows how much we have spent averaging to do level 1, 2, and 3 roads, we might be talking 10 years to get through all of them, if not more, if we follow this priority, if nothing changes. These are our level 4 roads and our level 5 roads. So we did all of this to have this tool that I talked about at the beginning. The tool is going to be a working tool, hopefully, will be. And our working tool is going to be this map. We're proposing to be this map. This shows all of the roads that have been done 2019, 2020, and 2021, in the 3 years that we were in the borough. They are shown in green. Then we have our level 1 roads, which are shown in yellow, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. It shows all of the inlets that are within the borough, all 154 of them. And it shows all of the curb ramps that need to be replaced. We did not show all of the curb ramps, just the ones that need to be replaced. So you may ask, well, why did I say a tentative road program? And that's because of the Newtown Artesian Water Company. The borough has a great policy with the Newtown Artesian Water Company. And as you're most likely aware, is that Newtown Artesian Water Company replaces water mains and has a long-term infrastructure plan where every 5 years, similar to what we did with the roadway inventory, but they've been doing it longer, and every 5 years, they come up with a section of water mains that they are going to replace. In September of last year, we received this 5-year plan from them. September of last year, we also had to present through the road committee to council what roads were going to be done this year. And those roads you saw were level 1 roads. So we got this in September also. And you see where, if you remember, Lafayette Street was a level 1 priority. You see where it is down here on their infrastructure plan. And it's a good policy, because policy between the Newtown Artesian Water Company and the borough, because when they go in and replace the mains, we follow them with a road program to maintain the roads, and then they reimburse the borough. The borough puts that road program out to bid, and they reimburse the borough 50% of the cost for any base repair, any milling, and any overlay that is done. So it's a great cost savings for the borough. So we'd like to follow their 5-year plan, obviously. So when we got this, we asked Newtown Artesian if they would consider moving Lafayette Street up to 2022. They said they would consider it, however, they need to get this plan approved by the PUC. And that approval wasn't going to happen until mid-December. So that's why we've been in kind of a waiting game to get the road program finalized, at least the roads finalized. A couple weeks ago, I heard from them. This was approved. They said that now that it was approved, they would consider moving it up, and moving Lafayette Street up until 2022 is on their agenda for their meeting tomorrow. So tomorrow we should know whether or not that we could include Lafayette Street in our road program. If for some reason it isn't, then I guess we have to reconsider and move a portion of Elm onto the road program for next year. And you'll see some of this priorities. I put in there what level priority that section of road is, and in year 2025, all of their work will be within the township. And that's what I have for you. Does anybody have any questions?
Michelle, thank you. That was terrific and really well explained and very clear. And, you know, if it was back in the day when it was harder, like, to be an engineer for a woman, you would have been this amazing teacher.
Oh,
So I'm glad you are where you are. So thank you. My question has to do with some roads that are more of a level, mid-level, like later level. So they're going to need work, but they're not really bad. And if we wait a while so that, you know, say it's another 5 years before we get to them, they will then require maybe not just a light mill and overlay, but we'll need to get down more to the base repair because we've let them go. And so sometimes there's a road that's in worse shape that it's better to just kind of hold off on, because no matter what, that's going to require base repair and save one that could get bad. What are your thoughts on that?
okay. So I'm trying to find the picture that I had. I screwed that up. I'm trying to find there it is. So you do crack sealing, that picture on the left-hand side. You will do crack sealing if you don't want to mill and overlay a road today. It gets you some more serviceable life out of that road rather than repairing it fully by a mill and overlay. In 2015, the borough did a ultra-thin friction course along Lincoln Avenue, which is it's a bituminous mixture, hot bituminous mixture. It has a stone, bigger stone, larger stone, a different grade of bitumen that is used in it. It's rougher. Maybe if you drive over that section of Lincoln Avenue, you'll notice it. It costs about 75% of what a mill and overlay road would get you. However, that will only get you 7 to 8 years, where we hope a mill and overlay with the base repair, where you dig out any areas that really need to be removed, replace that area, mill and overlay, hopefully 20 years you could get out of that. Did that answer your question?
That did, thanks.
Would you turn to the map that shows the streets including Washington and State Street?
The liquid fuels map? Or do you want the prioritized?
Priority roadmap.
That one?
Are the Center, Washington, and Jefferson from State Street to Sycamore state roads?
They are. I should have pointed that out. On this map and on the liquid fuels map, these roads here in dark gray, that's a state road. That's Jefferson over to Sycamore. This is State Street, South State Street, and then Center. I can't tell that which one is Center here, but the darker roads on that map, and I'm going to leave the maps here, and I could talk about them after the meeting too. Those are the state roads. And Washington, of course, everybody knows goes all the way down.
So our road program is only for the municipal roads excluding the state highways.
Correct. It's only for the 8.54 miles of borough-owned roads.
So what is the procedure to get the state roads repaired for potholes or other deterioration? The storm drain in front of the Lubavitch synagogue has a problem. I think we talked about that at another time. And we need striping on the state highways. What should we do to get those roads on PennDOT's attention list?
Well, if you're talking about potholes, I think the best thing to do is what you have been doing. I think, and I think a procedure has now been worked out where if council notices something, they contact the borough. Am I saying this right, Judy? And now Judy will contact the maintenance department. Every district in PennDOT has a maintenance department, and that maintenance department's job is to go out and maintain their own roads. So first, I would alert them that work needs to be done.
What about the striping on Washington and State? And is Lincoln a municipal road?
Lincoln is a municipal road.
Okay, so going to Washington and State, since I've lived here, I don't believe that those have ever been striped by PennDOT. So how do you get on that list?
So the first thing I would do is, like I said, talk to the maintenance department and start there. Ask them to, if it's not a stripe, then they probably won't do it. Then I would talk to the traffic department in PennDOT at, I always want to say St. David's, because that's the old place, and in King of Prussia, and talk to the traffic department and tell them you would like to have them striped and someone to look into it. And unfortunately, like we all are, everybody is overworked. They have a lot to do, and you'll probably have to remind them to get it done.
Just for educational purposes, the borough has paid for the painting of the crosswalks on the state highways. So that is something we identified and we accomplished this past summer. So we picked up that cost.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Michelle.
I think, are we still with me?
We are still with you.
Okay. I think maybe I'll just stay here rather than moving up.
Yeah, when we're done with the road inventory presentation, we'll move to the motion for the Green Light Go grant. So just let us know when we're ready for that. I don't know if anyone has any other questions.
I think we are ready for that.
Okay, so the next item is we're asking the borough to approve not to exceed figure of $7,500 that will allow us to prepare the bid specification, contract documents, and do the inspections required for the traffic signal at Washington Avenue. That was part of the Green Light Go program where the borough received it's over $250,000 to do the traffic signal improvements.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to authorize CKS to proceed with the design of the Green Light Go grant application as specified. The funds will be used for the following: contract documents, construction management, and inspections at a not-to-exceed cost of $7,500.
Second?
Thank you. Any discussion on council? Any comments or questions from the public?
It is at the intersection of Washington and Lincoln.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to add for clarifications, you're asking where it is. This is a street light that was put in 1972. It is woefully behind, and one of our previous counselors, Nicole Rodowitz, was able to secure a grant from the state to help cover it.
Thanks. I'll call a question. All those in favor, vote aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
Mike, solicitors report?
We have four items for you to consider this evening. The first is a motion to adopt telecommunications ordinance number 784, amending and enacting portions of the Newtown Borough Code of Ordinances at Chapter 550. This ordinance amends the zoning code for compliance with Act 50, which is regarding small wireless facilities. Act 50 was passed by the Pennsylvania legislature and signed into law by the governor, and it therefore renders portions of our ordinance outdated, and we needed to update it. This has been reviewed by the County Planning Commission. We have incorporated the changes that were suggested by the County Planning Commission. It has also been reviewed by the Borough Planning Commission, and they have recommended approval as presented.
Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the telecommunication ordinance number 784, amending and enacting portions of the Newtown Borough Code of Ordinances at Chapter 550-zoning.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions?
I just have a couple of concerns, mainly regarded to ambiguity around a couple of terms that, in my mind, weren't well-defined. Specifically, I would like to know what a ground-mounted and non-tower facility is, what it looks like. And then, on top of that, I didn't feel like the language surrounding the approval of the design was clear enough. For example, can we require a application to be submitted with a design? Can we request changes to the design? Can we deny based on design? Given that we are largely in a historic district, I think what these things look like is extremely important. I understand that we have to, get up with PA code, but I just wanted to raise those concerns.
Thank you, and we can certainly amend this at a later date, obviously. Take the time to look at it. Any other comments from council? Bless you.
I think our solicitor looked like he was poised to respond to Amy's comment.
So I was, thank you. I understand the concern about how these things look, and especially how they look in an historic borough like Newtown. Unfortunately, the telecommunications industry, which holds a phenomenal amount of sway in Harrisburg, doesn't really care. And what Act 50 was really designed to do is to prevent many local municipalities from having all different requirements to prevent these telecommunications facilities from going in. These small cell are the smaller boxes that are normally put on top of a telephone pole or some other facility. These are not necessarily designed for your cell phone, but they're for the transmission of data, because the cell phone, the wireless communications are getting so everyone's wireless now. So they need to have a way of transmitting this data. And the companies were successful in convincing the state legislature that if we have to do one thing in Newtown, and one thing in Doylestown, and one thing in Ben Salem, and one thing in New Hope, it's completely unreasonable. And so they've tried to create this act that prevents us from really doing what you were just saying you want to do, which is to make this unique to Newtown. So while I don't take any pride of authorship of this amendment, we are doing it just to simply be in compliance with the current state of the law.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Any comments from the public? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Motion passes. Thank you.
The second item we have for consideration this evening would be asking for a motion to adopt ordinance number 785, amending and enacting portions of the Newtown Borough Code of Ordinances at Chapter 550. This ordinance amends the zoning code to decrease parking space requirements for residential uses. The County Planning Commission has recommended approval as presented. The Borough Planning Commission tabled their consideration and discussion of this ordinance until next month.
I would just add that they were able to discuss this for the first time last night, and they split their vote on whether or not to recommend approval, and then decided to ask if they could have additional time so they can review it at their next meeting.
I move to table the motion to advertise the zoning ordinance amendment number 785, amending and enacting portions of the Newtown Borough Code of Ordinances at Chapter 550 zoning.
You need, I think, to amend your motion because you said to advertise. It's actually to adopt. Your motion is to table adoption, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, we had some edits. So it should read motion to, it's motion to table the parking ordinance,
To table adoption, correct.
adoption of the parking ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment?
I have a procedural question, which is, this has been tabled, but we would need to perhaps advertise it for adoption in a month if the Planning Commission is good with that. Mike, what do you recommend procedurally?
So you can table it to a date certain, and then you do not need to re-advertise it. So if you want to put this back on the agenda in February, then Bob can just amend his motion to table this to the date and time of our February meeting, and then you would not be required to re-advertise it unless there are significant changes after the Planning Commission reviews it. If there are substantial changes after the Planning Commission reviews it, then it is going to need to be re-advertised.
Judy, what is the?
February 8th.
Not the work session meeting, but the next meeting?
February 8th.
8th? So I move to amend my amendment to add that it would be tabled until the next council meeting scheduled for February 8, 2022 at 7 p.m.
Mary Ellen, are you okay to amend your second?
That was my second, and yes, yeah. And my second is amended.
Sorry, I wrote down Mary Ellen, sorry. Any other questions? Any comment from the audience? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks. Motion passes.
The third item we have this evening is seeking a motion to adopt HARB Ordinance Amendment Number 786, amending and enacting portions of the Newtown Borough Code of Ordinances at Chapter 314, Historic Districts. This amends the Historic District Ordinance to clarify requirements that must be satisfied before an application is presented to HARB, and provides greater flexibility for HARB to hear applications received within 30 days prior to HARB's meeting. No Planning Commission review was required of this ordinance.
I move to adopt HARB Ordinance Amendment Number 786, amending and enacting portions of the Newtown Borough Code of Ordinances at Chapter 314, Historic Districts.
A second?
Any questions? Any comment from the public? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thanks.
And the final item this evening is a request for a zoning hearing board variance extension for 114 Jefferson Street. The variance was granted in August of 2021. The applicant has requested an extension of the deadline to obtain permits due to the delay that they have experienced in locating a builder. Council is permitted under Section 550-55B to grant a one-time extension of no more than 1 year on good cause shown. The applicant has provided a summary of their efforts to locate a builder over the last several months. And this is purely within the discretion of council.
Can I have a motion?
I have a question for solicitor. If we extend it for 1 year, can we extend it to the January meeting in 2023, or do we have to have a date certain?
You would be extending it 1 year from the date of today's vote. And since the ordinance is written that you can grant a one-time extension, if they're unable to get what they need done, get their permits and everything 1 year from today's date, then they're not entitled to another extension.
I move to grant the request for a zoning hearing board variance extension as to real estate property located at 114 Jefferson Street under the appropriate section for a 1 year extension measured from today's date, January 11, 2022.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Wait, do you want, you said from today's date? Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
We have to stay a date, or can we just say an extension?
It's maximum 1 year.
The date you're making the motion.
I know, but does it have to be 1 year?
No,
It can't be, it could be up to 1 year.
Okay.
Yep.
So we could make it for less, but we can only do it once, so. Okay. Any questions or comments from the public?
You have the applicant here?
Would you like to comment?
Well, you will have the paperwork that shows the builders. I was trying to stay local, and after a year and a half, I have been, even before I went for the variance, and even before I got approval from HARP, I have been trying diligently to get a builder. And so December 4th, I added 4 more local builders to my list, and I would like to say that 2 of them have been out to the house. 1 is coming out tomorrow with an electrician and a plumber. And then on the 29th of December, I added 2 more builders to my list, 1 from Doylestown and 1 from Langhorne. Both of them have been at the house. 1 has been at the house once, 1 twice, and the next time he's bringing an electrician, somebody with heating, and also a plumber. So I am making progress. It's just, it's very slow. And until I actually had the certificate of appropriateness, which was, I didn't get until October 9th, I really couldn't do anything anyway. So.
You're not alone in this struggle. Lots of folks are having trouble right now trying to get builders and other people to do work at their homes, so absolutely understood. Any other comments? All those in favor of extending for a year, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes our report.
Thank you, Mike. May I get a motion to approve minutes of the November, I don't have my glasses on, November 9th council minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the November 9, 2021 council meeting minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I'll make a motion to approve the December 8, 2021 work session minutes.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Just a information question for the public. Can they find these on the webpage?
After they're approved, but not before.
Okay, so if anybody wants to read all these minutes, they can go to the webpage and search, and if they have any questions on how to search, please contact Borough Office.
If you look at the calendar and click on the date of the meeting, you'll see the agenda, you'll see the minutes, and if there's a video, you'll see that as well.
Also under government, you can go to minutes. Any ways to find it.
That is all correct.
All right. Go to budget and finance now. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the professional services invoices for November 2021.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any questions?
There are new members to the Finance and Budget Committee, so we're going to begin reviewing the process of how this all happens, because these particular invoices are from November. To the extent that we have any vendors that need to be paid sooner than later, just to keep them in business because of financial problems, we want to make sure all the third-party vendors who've done a good job for us over the years stay in business. So one of my concerns as to the 60-day delay and then a possible another week to get the checks out is to make sure that our vendors get paid promptly for their work, because if that invoice came in November, it could be an October bill. So we're going to look at making sure that our vendors are financially responsible so that we have them to continue our work, just as we saw the delay for private people's own contractors.
Tara can probably speak to this better, but just in general, these are not bills that have not been paid since November. They're services that were rendered in November that have just been billed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thanks.
Right, I'll make a motion to accept, subject to audit, the consolidated expenditure report for the month of December totaling $422,089.50.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next on our schedule is the adoption of the fee schedule. Can I get a motion?
Sure, I'll make a, anybody else want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 1-11-2022, revising the year 2022 fee schedule.
Second.
Any questions or comments from council?
Yeah, what has been in the revised fee schedule are two components. One is electrical systems, and the other is short-term rentals. And everyone may recall we recently passed the short-term rental ordinance, and we discussed a potential fee, but at that time we weren't sure what we should use. And our code enforcement officer did some research, looked into the time that would be involved, and presented council with a standard set of fees that would be consistent with what other municipalities have. So the initial application fee is $250, and an annual renewal fee $175, and special events, so if you need something in particular, that's $50. The inspection fee is included in the above. The remainder have to do specific changes, photovoltaic systems, building permits, doing things to your sub panels and your switch gears. And I would say come to the fee schedule if you have a need in that area, but I'm not going to read all that. The other piece was private pool wiring and what the fees are for that. And that's it.
I just will add, for the benefit of the public, the fee schedule is also published on the website too. So it's all there for everyone's reference.
Any other comments? We didn't vote, right? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Planning Commission. Vote.
Thank you. Any ongoing business that anyone would like to discuss? Any announcements?
We're still desperate to get a school crossing guard. There's 2 locations that are authorized in the borough for school crossing guards. The one at Andrew and Goodnoe Elementary, that is the one that currently is being occupied by an individual, but they're going on a leave of absence beginning in February, so we're going to be short there. And we still have not fulfilled the spot at Norwood and Washington Avenue as well. So since we have an audience that, might be able to reach a wider audience by making another plea that way. So.
Thank you, that's really important. Any other announcements?
Yes, I received a telephone call from Congressman Fitzpatrick's office, and on January 18th at 7 p.m., he and Diane Marseglia, the chair of the Bucks County Commissioners, will be holding a radio call-in program where all citizens of Bucks County, including residents of Newtown Borough, can ask questions about what's happening in the federal level, the state level, and the county level as to whatever, particularly as to funding. A lot of the American Rescue Funds are coming down, flowing through the different levels. And so that should be an interesting conversation. The call-in phone number is 215-579-8102, and they are desiring people to call in and ask their questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else? Public to be heard?
Charles Schwartz again, 323 Washington Avenue. I just wanted to go over, and again, it was nice to hear that you had the committees in place. But one of the things that has been left over from last year was a potential for an intergovernmental agreement between the borough and the township for the fire company, for the fire services that were provided, and I didn't know whether anybody had been appointed to that. Tara and I have worked on that as well as Marv. And since Tara's the only one left up there that knows where we've been, and from that standpoint, if there's anything that anybody needs help with, or you would like additional input from that standpoint from someone in the public, I'd be happy to volunteer to give you any input that you would need. So, but that is one of the most important things because of the amount of money they keep billing us for. So,
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I didn't mention it because it's not an official committee, but Tara certainly is on that committee. I'm on it. Mary Ellen is also. So, yeah, very important for us to negotiate as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Appreciate your offer. That's nice. Any other public comment? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second. I misheard. I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you. We didn't vote, sorry.
Aye.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks, motion passes.